What up, fellow Feral Simps? Today I'm going to be talking to you about Dragonflight Beta with Feral and kind of talking you through some of the single target playstyles. A couple things I want to cover though exclusively with this video is that we are now Simps, okay? Simps stands for Eye of Fearful Symmetry. We are Simpers. And why I'm actually starting to quite enjoy it, I really disliked it at first, but now I'm actually kind of starting to appreciate it a little bit more. And also, why I'm actually okay with Savage Roar not existing anymore, and why I'm actually okay with its removal. So, looking at this build then, got a couple things going on. So, Eye of Fearful Symmetry, when you use Tiger's Fury, your next two finishing moves restore 2 combo points. Okay? Pretty simple to track, pretty simple to understand. But on top of that, you're getting 2 combo points regenerated during your Berserk window, which puts you at 4 combo points, which is actually really awkward, because you either use a 4 combo point finisher, or you overcap by potentially 2 combo points, and you use a 5 combo point finisher. Neither of those really feels great. However, when you include on single target Raging Fury, which is the Tiger Fury extension every finishing move by 0.4 seconds per combo point, then suddenly, Eye of Fearful Symmetry, 4 combo point bites, I'm actually not that bothered by, and then actually I'm okay with it because it saves you an extra global and puts an additional 1.6 seconds on your Tiger Fury timer. So you can back-to-back Ferocious Bite coming out of your, as immediately as your Tiger Fury Berserk, and that feels pretty good. So I'm actually kind of chill with that. That's why I'm okay. Like this Tiger Fury management, this playstyle of doing that on single target, I think will actually be kind of interesting. I know it's not necessarily like ultimately changing your gameplay at a high level, but it is a maintenance buff that you're going to want to have as much uptime on as possible, and there are going to be decisions that you can make to affect that, i.e. biting at 4 combo points and not going to 5 instead, right? That's one way you can extend it. Also, running Feral Frenzy helps extend it as well. Running some additional energy talents, right? That's going to play in some more energy talents. Running Predator, so you actually come down the right-hand side of the tree rather than going the left-hand side and grabbing like Lunar Inspiration and Adaptive Swarm. You can also come down the right-hand side, grab Predator for the extra 5 seconds. You can also then grab like your Taste for Blood and Infected Wounds, and it actually really nicely works all together. Let's go in and see how we do on the old uptimer, huh? So I'm going to bite. I'm going to bite. Nice, we got lucky. We got our 80% chances. Excellent. And now I'm going to send the Convoke. Re-rake? No? Okay, interesting. Didn't get the re-rake there. But our uptime on our Tiger's Fury now is looking real nice. We're up at that like 20-second mark, which is really, really solid. Really good. The nice thing with all of this as well, with this kind of playstyle, is you're also trying to generate your Blood Talons, right? So you have to be careful of your Blood Talons. You're also trying to make sure that you've got as high uptime on your dots as possible, because remember, you're playing Circle of Life and Death now, and Sabretooth doesn't work the way that it used to. Right, so I've held that Tiger Fury for as long as possible there. I even did a cheeky lower energy bite there to try and extend it the best I can. Gonna use both of these Eye of Fearful Symmetry procs. And then I'm going to look to Feral Frenzy. So we're gonna bite here. Nice. Feral Frenzy. Immediately rip. So we got some good uptime there. Gonna drop down for a few seconds here on Tiger Fury. Now I'm actually gonna, like, the way I'm gonna play around this is I'm not gonna proc Tiger Fury instantly. I'm gonna wait with Tiger Fury until I have a finisher available, ready to go, and then I'm gonna press it. Because otherwise I'm delaying uptime, you know? Otherwise, you're just delaying that uptime. Right, so I'm going to bite here. Can re-rake. These energy talents really, really help with this. Get those last few seconds. Right, so it's going to drop again. We got 20 seconds more on the clock. This is a 2-minute uptime on Tiger Fury, okay? Trying to get as much uptime as we can over the course of 2 minutes. That's the whole point of this build. Right, so 2 minutes is nearing. We're going to have this for the remainder of the time. So Tiger Fury there, 70% uptime. Which seems really quite reasonable, right? Like we still have it there. 70% uptime, give or take. which I think is really quite cool. I think with more crit, this will be even better. Obviously, this is going to be very heavily crit dependent, because the more crits you have, the better, like, your... Well, not the better your finishes are going to be, but the quicker you're going to get to your finishes. It's also better energy efficiency, stuff like that. So, I kind of like the idea of it. I like the idea of this build. The only thing with it as well is that Convoke doesn't proc your Eye of Fearful Symmetries. Like, this is a nice all-rounder build, I think, on single target, and you could actually do quite decently well on Cleave there as well. I also have another single target build, which is pure left side, right? This is like taking over Protective Grow, sorry. This is taking Piercing Claws, which is really weak, needs a buff. Why would you take 4% crit when you can get 4% haste and 60 energy increase, right? This definitely needs a buff. But that's a whole thing. I've been talking about it on the forums and everything. But this build's good. You get like Lunar Inspiration, you get Adaptive Swarm. I'm level 67, so if I had one more talent point, I would grab Blood Talons. So you'd grab Blood Talons with Frenzy, with Adaptive, with Convoke, with Moonfire. And it's very much like a maintenance playstyle. You're very much trying to maintain your dots and stuff as long as possible. So you'd be like Adaptive Swarming, you'd be going into combat. I mean, I'm going to do this in like a kind of a scuffed way because, you know, I'm aware of the time of the video. You can go in, you can rake, you can do your kind of usual stuff. I don't have Convoke here, but that's fine. You can do a bite there. Oh, I haven't Moonfired yet. See, always going to forget something. Make sure you Moonfire. And there's a Feral Frenzy. That's kind of cool. Taste for Blood is going to be really good with all this. Well, actually, no, you don't take Taste for Blood with this. Ignore me. Confusing builds here. But yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, you're just maintaining a bunch of stuff. You got to be careful with, like, when you're choosing to bite, because you're going to overcap on combo points. You want to hold. Like, I'm at 4 combo points right now. I want to pool until Moonfire is available. Until, like, Moonfire is going to hit its pandemic window. And then I want to reapply it. So, there's definitely an awareness here with this build of, like, not just pressing stuff willy-nilly. And not just kind of slamming stuff. You're definitely going to be kind of trying to hold, trying to conserve your energy, conserve your combo points. Like, a lot of the time what people do is they'll go to 5 combo points, and then they'll figure out, right, what's coming off cooldown. But if you sit at 3 combo points or 4 combo points, and then you wait for your rakes to hit its pandemic window, you wait for Moonfire to hit their pandemic windows, then you can reapply them, and then you can, like, do whatever finisher you're then going to do, which is likely going to be a rip reapplication, right? So it's good, it's good. I like the idea of playing that. There's also another single target build, very similar actually to the previous build we were just playing, but this time you're less reliant on Tiger Fury uptime. Like, you still want it, but it's not like something that you're putting all of your eggs into that basket. So you're still going to have decent uptime, probably like a good 50%, 60%, but you're not going to have, maybe even a little bit more than that, but you're not going to like only be invested in that. So you're going to still have this right-hand side. For some reason, I've got Tear Open Wound in this build right now, which is obviously wrong. You can clearly take like Feral Frenzy here. And that's cool, or you can grab like Piercing Claws as well if you want additional crit. We'll have to see how Asherman's Guidance does. So you can also grab Carnivorous. So there's options there with that talent point. I don't really know why that's there. That's kind of annoying. But you can go into like Tireless Energy, go Carnivorous, yada yada yada. But this build, you're also running Moonfire now and Adaptive Swarm. So it's very similar to the previous build we were running, but with the addition of Adaptive Swarm and Moonfire. And like, again, it's gonna be a cool kind of maintenance style. The biggest thing with Feral, I think now, like going into Dragonflight, is gonna be remembering which build you're playing and when, you know? Now, lastly, a build that I want to show you is a single target cleave build, which is going to be very, I think, very fun to play. It's gonna be good in a scenario where you're constantly fighting 2 mobs, or like 2 bosses, or 2 to 4 mobs. Something like that. But I think it'll be particularly strong on 2 target. The idea with this build is you're going with double Clawed Rake to help your rake up time. You're playing Primal Wrath. You're going into like additional rake damage and stuff like that. You go into Brutal Slash, which is kind of an interesting one, but I think Brutal Slash will be kind of cool. This is like a potential build, right? It's not necessarily going to be absolute. There'll be number tuning and stuff like that, and it'll come down to like simming and stuff like that. But I think it's a build that you can play, and I'm more so interested right now in highlighting cool builds rather than just being like, oh, you know, sim it. So you go Moonfire, go Brutal Slash, go yeah, that's basically it. Go double clawed rake. But this is your Cleave build. Now, right now, unfortunately, okay, right now, Brutal Slash isn't working right now. So it actually not only isn't working, but it makes your swipe like unusable. Your swipe doesn't work correctly when you do it. So I'm just going to play with Wild Slashes for the sake of representation here. But ultimately, you'd also have one additional combo point, talent point, so you can go Adaptive Swarm with this or something if you wanted to. But let's see how we do here. So immediately, I'm going to get the double rake there. I'm then going to Primal Wrath. I'm going to Moonfire. Moonfire. I overcapped on combo points a little bit there, but that's okay. Then I'm Convoking. Gonna immediately re-rake, right? And the fact that my rake hits both targets makes this so nice, right? Makes this so good because A, they're both getting additional damage, and especially during our Berserk window, they're getting additional damage. But also, but also it just makes like the energy efficiency of them so much better. It's kind of cool. I like it. Also in this build, we have Ferocious Frenzy, so when you are Ferocious Biting, you're actually getting additional damage to the, you know, second mob, which is kind of cool. But this is going to be quite hectic, especially if you include Adaptive Swarm, I think, as well, because it's another global that you're spending, and something that you're, like, being aware that you have to maintain. But with Primal Wrath, with Circle of Life and Death, this is actually kind of hard to be maintaining constantly. That's probably, yeah, thank God for the Double Clawed Rake, actually, in this scenario. I actually think it smooths out the rotation so much, and you also know it's really nice to be able to in a stressful situation, right? You're on a 2-target boss, maybe there's a lot of mechanics going on. If you just know off the top of your head, whenever I rake either target, I'm gonna have the exact same rake duration on both. That makes it, and you have exact same rip up time on both as well. It actually makes it so much easier, and yet when you're dealing with mechanics and stuff as well on top of this, is actually going to be kind of cool. These are just a couple builds I wanted to show off to you guys, some things we've been messing around with on beta. Feel free to come check me out on twitch.tv/Sybearslat_TV. If you want to check out more of these things and watch me do them live, come give me your thoughts, your opinions. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. See you next time.